different. While we run a general, we also look at each of the startups on a case-by-case basis. Startups may have problems that are unique to them. Now, so we look at it that way, look for subject matter experts that can help them, those people that can help them to solve the problems that they face at the time. Now, once they are done with the accelerator program, we now problems. I remember I was reviewing some of the applications, and I just said to myself that if university students can be doing this, it means that the ecosystem can actually do better, right? So if from school people are already thinking about how to solve problems, and we are trying to support them in terms of reviewing the ideas, in terms of supporting them with office space, cloud infrastructure, access to markets, and all of that to help their ideas scale, then we believe that the ecosystem can also push ourselves further, to solve problems that originate from Africa. Lastly, what is it for you? So if you are a venture capitalist or a business angel and you're looking for startups to invest in, right, you already have a number of startups that we've done due diligence on, and you will be able to reach out to us, and based on your interest, we can share startups and their profiles and what they've done, their traction, and all of that, and you can take your decision. Then on the other hand, if you are a startup and you're looking for acceleration, you can also speak to us as well. Then the commercial section of embassies that focus on cross-pollinating investors and startups. So from our own end, we have startups that may be looking for funding, and all of that and support, right? So if there are foreign investors that are willing to support these startups, we can broker that deal. And lastly, from a thought leadership perspective and from a subject matter perspective, so if you are a subject matter expert, maybe in product, in agile,
Victor, until now. So kudos to the team. Okay. Remember the hashtag is hashtag WFF2021, and we are right on time, sort of. Okay, so let me quickly call on the next panel session. This is the panel session that will focus on blockchain and the emerging economy. It will look at all different areas, use cases, and the rest. So I'd like to call on the moderator of this panel session, Yinka Edu, partner UUBO. Please a round of applause for her. There's lunch, don't worry. Yeah, please let's encourage them. Don't worry, this is and if you guys make them angry, she can decide to make it longer. Make it like 3 o'clock. All right, Simon Chantry, CIO Bits. Simon, can you hear me? Ruth Iselema. I saw Ruth somewhere. Ruth Iselema, CEO Bitmama. And then Ray Yusuf, CEO Paxful. If you're online, if you can hear me, just say hello. Just say hello. Otherwise, Yinka and I will just handle this panel session now. All right, maybe we're having a bit of technical difficulties there, but while we wait for them to connect, for those online, I'll wait for them to connect. Okay, yeah, all right, awesome. So you have one, and if you have one, enjoy without one. So please, a round of applause. Can you hear us, Simon? Just, say hello. You can hear us.
Hello, Simon?
You're muted, you're speaking. Yeah, okay, please, a round of applause for Ruth. That's the CEO of Big Mama. Yeah, you can see that. Okay, I think we're good to go now. All right, over to you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, everyone. I think this might be the last session, so I hope we can keep your attention to the end. We're meant to have 4 speakers, 4 panelists. Elizabeth Rosiello. Unfortunately, Elizabeth has lost her voice, and so can't join us, which is a real loss, because she has a lot to say on this subject. We have Ray Yusuf. Are you there, Ray? Okay. We have Ruth. Hi, Ruth. And I think we have Simon. Are you there, Simon? Can you hear us?
Hi, good afternoon, Simon. I can hear you loud and clear, yes.
Perfect, thanks. So I'm excited about this panel. I'm hoping that Ray will join us, but we'll get started. I'm excited about this panel because I think that when I talk to people, particularly people who are fintech cynics, the only thing I can get them excited about is the blockchain. That's the one thing that I think that I see common interest in. Everybody says, this is going to revolutionize everything. So we get a lot of support for that. So I'm excited for us to be talking about that here. I think also for us, it's talking about what it can do for the economy. I know a national pastime for us is looking at what it is that we have, what it is that we do better than other jurisdictions. So for example, people get excited. I hear people constantly talking about things like, what I can do with my bank in Nigeria, my cousin cannot do it in their bank in the UK, things like that. We get excited about those things. That's our national pastime. So I'm hoping that what the blockchain is going to mean is that we're going to, I know Ken in his previous session had mentioned the industrial revolution and our progress, and I'm hoping that we're going to leapfrog ahead with the help of the blockchain. So we're just talking about Ken again, actually. When Ken mentioned that, made me feel old, when he said that young people are going to have 2 phones before using a tablet. When I brought my tablet out, I was feeling old. I thought he'd left, but I didn't feel him. Thanks for staying back. Okay, so if I can have Ruth maybe talk a little bit about who she is, what she does. I met Ruth a while back. She's a real entrepreneur. I met her a while back at the Venture Garden incubator event a few years ago, where I was a mentor, and she was one of the entrepreneurs there. And then when I met her later, I'm a lawyer. Sorry, I don't know if I mentioned that. I'm a lawyer at the law firm of Dodoma and Bello Sagi, and I head the Fintech team. And when I met Ruth later, talking to her about how to provide legal support and that sort of thing, Ruth came back and told me that she can provide smart contracts, and she herself can provide me with the support. So Ruth is the classic entrepreneur. Ruth, please tell us a little bit about what you do.
Can you hear me? Okay. Hello everyone. So my name is Ruth, and I'm the CEO of Beats Mama. So like she said, I came across the blockchain a while back, but when I heard about it the first time, I was like, what's this blockchain? I just kind of forgot about it. Then after a while, I kind of went back, read the whole blockchain white paper, and I was like, okay, this is interesting. And why it was interesting to me is because at first I was very, very interested in stocks. So when I was little, if I see my dad buying stocks, I'm like, where's my own? Like, you didn't buy stocks for me, so it means I won't be rich in future. Because I'm always looking at all these Donald Trump and Co. and Warren Buffett, so I know that they made money via stocks. So I was like, okay, where's my own stocks? So finally, he agreed one day and bought me First Bank stocks for me to play with and see how I can get into the stock market. But while he was doing that, I realized something. We needed to have a stockbroker. Stockbroker came, then we needed to pay the stockbroker. We still needed to pay him again to buy the stocks. And I think I was not too little, but I remember that experience very well. So getting to the blockchain, when it came out, it was easy for it to enter. There was no barrier of entry. I didn't need a stockbroker to buy me tokens or something that I would use to invest. So it was like, this is very interesting. So this is like stocks, but I can do it myself. So it's like DIY for stocks. So I was like, okay, this is very, very interesting. So that was where I picked interest. And a friend from Japan was the one that then kind of taught me the rest that I needed to know. And from there, I just picked up as my pastime, and before you know, it became my full time. Yeah.
Thanks for that. So Simon, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
Wonderful. So nice to meet you, Simon. I haven't actually met Simon. This is my first contact with him, but I suspect that even if not a physical contact, I'm going to be I'm looking at sort of 6 degrees of separation. There's going to be some contact with Simon in that we're all going to be using eNaira very soon. And BIT, if you don't know, is a company that is the technical support to the central bank in relation to the eNaira. So welcome, Simon. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure, thank you so much for having me today. And I guess I'd share, somewhat similar background and inspiration to the story that we just heard, in the sense that as sort of, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency came onto the stage, or sort of has grown drastically over the last 10 years, it's offered different features, user experiences, configurations that I found to be somewhat attractive. I come from an engineering background, and I discovered sort of digital currencies back in 2012, and went down the rabbit hole of trying to understand how this technology would impact the financial system, and then more broadly, the economy of a particular country, and then more broadly, the global economy, and how countries would digitize their currencies And then those currency networks would sort of interoperate with one another based on trade flows and other currency flows that we see. So that's sort of, my last 8 years in a nutshell is basically being inspired by this open source development that we see in the form of blockchains, cryptocurrencies, and digital currencies. And our responsibility as a firm BIT is taking that innovation that's happened over the last decade or so and applying it in a compliant manner to central bank digital currencies and trying to bring as many of those features that that end users are clearly saying, these are valuable to us, we value these features, we want to be able to do more with our money, we want to be able to access it more easily and transact more easily and have access to, for example, trading opportunities, again, the story that we just heard. And so, yeah, that's a little background about me and sort of the way that I consider, the position that companies like BIT are in. It's really harnessing, capturing the value and the feature sets that have been sort of birthed by the open source community over the last decade, and then servicing central banks, because central banks are keenly interested in evolving the underlying technology of their currencies, and that's what we're here for.
Thank you, Simon. Is Ray with us now? Okay. So I think I want to start, and I'll start with you. There's a lot of confusion and interesting confusion that occurred a couple of weeks ago, where people don't understand the difference between the blockchain and cryptocurrency. And I think one of the government agencies recently got that mixed up and caused a little bit of confusion. So can we start with that very briefly before we go into other discussion?
Okay. So most times when people ask me what's the difference between blockchain and cryptocurrency, so I'm like, let's explain it like we're 5 years old. So you know how we have gold? Gold is under the ground, and the amount of gold that is under the ground, we don't know. God knows. We don't know. But let's assume we knew that there is a certain amount of gold in the ground. And for us to access that gold, we have to mine gold to get gold, right? So first of all, I'm going to be doing but we know in terms of ground it's kind of different, but I'm just trying to get an analogy for you. So you can't change the records on the blockchain. So that's the blockchain. So but when it comes to cryptocurrencies now, for you to be able to put records on the blockchain, put transactions on the blockchain, you need to be able to mine transactions. The same way you're mining gold, diamond, silver. So now when you mine, the reward of you mining those transactions to say, we're all in this room, and let me say, I'm going to use this guy here, and he wants to say, oh, I got 70 over 100 in my exam, and we all say it's a lie, you got 50 over 100. He can't bribe all of us to say he got 70% in his exam. So we all agree that he got 50 over 100 in his exam. So that's where the immutability comes from. And the whole thing is decentralized. We all don't know each other, but we all agree that this guy got 50 over 100 instead of 70 over 100. So now when you mine the blockchain, you're given a reward, because I cannot just stay and be doing something just for doing something's sake. So when you mine, what you get is like a mathematical calculation, which is the cryptocurrency, which you have Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the rest of it. So that's the difference between both of them.
Thank you. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Simon?
I do. I guess it depends on how much time you want to give me. Sure. So yeah, I see. Okay, I see each of these blockchain networks as that they're networks, and it totally depends on the governance, the operation of those networks, as in the governance and the operations basically give it the qualities that they have. So in the case like Bitcoin, for example, which is arguably the most decentralized network in the world, that has very elegant sort of game theory woven into it to incentivize miners, as Ruth mentioned, to actually participate and run specialized hardware to mine transactions and secure the network and process transactions, or sort of mine new Bitcoin into existence, process transactions, secure the network. That's a really elegant, decentralized structure for a cryptocurrency. And yes, it results in immutability. That immutability is still probabilistic, I should add. For those of you who understand the game theory behind mining, you'll understand that it's still probabilistic, as in you can still assign a dollar value to the cost to attack a network like Bitcoin, right? And it's in the tens of billions of dollars, I believe, at this point, on an ongoing basis. Now, these networks can be run in not a decentralized fashion, but in a distributed fashion, where you have known participants running nodes and operating these distributed networks. And there's a lot of other blockchain networks that take on that sort of structure. So you think of the likes of EOS, or I think Solana is like that as well, where there's known node operators who are contributing to the operation of the underlying blockchain transaction network. And that's how I think CBDCs will evolve. To sort of tie it back more to my work, is I think these networks will become distributed amongst a particular country, where you will have many nodes throughout a country operated by the central bank, by the financial institutions, perhaps by the regulators. Maybe there's new dedicated agencies or multinationals. But I think that one of the main innovations in blockchain technology is the ability to run these value transfer networks across a distributed number of nodes. Now, the decentralization piece is really interesting because it takes it across the entire globe. But when you get in the context of a country, I could see a scenario where each country is running a series of nodes across the whole country for their own currency, and then making that interoperable with the international nodes. But I do see that Ray has joined us, so maybe we want to hear from you, Ray. Okay.
Hi, Ray. Thanks for joining.
Hey, everybody. Pleasure to be here.
So the other panelists have had a chance to introduce themselves. Would you like to do that? And then perhaps tell us a little bit about some of the use cases for the blockchain.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ray Youssef. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Taxful. I'm a immigrant, first-generation immigrant from Egypt to New York. My parents went to Europe with the promise of a better life. And here I am looking to build a world where people won't have to move around to places that are foreign for the chance of opportunity, because there'll be opportunity everywhere. As well as often the central banks of these countries won't let people send wires out of the country. Why? Because they want to preserve the dollars or euros themselves. This makes things very difficult for people that want to import things into the country or buy things to run their business or do anything, honestly. And we all know what the problems with remittances. If you're in Berlin and money back. It all started on this all this video on Instagram about an orphanage in Afghanistan, and I reached out to the fellow who was doing it, and we became good friends. And I decided, one day I heard about we was building a school in Rwanda, and he was looking for donations. And I called him up again and I asked for the project, and I funded the project personally. And I went there to Rwanda, saw the school being built, and I said, hey, well, before that happened, we actually funded the school entirely with Bitcoin. So the school was funded with Bitcoin from the very beginning. All the donations were in Bitcoin. It was me that made the donations. And I went there to see the school being built, and when it was finally finished, I went there again, and now we have 2 schools in Rwanda. It's actually a campus. So the mission is to build 100 schools across Africa and the emerging world. I got the idea when I helped rebuild the first school, that was about 2007 in New Orleans, after Hurricane Katrina. I met these 5 Dominican nuns, and we helped rebuild the school. It was quite the adventure, but because we did that, the whole city came alive because of that one act. It was only then because the police and fire department returned to the city, and that's what actually brings order to a place. All civilization starts under those 2 services, right? And because they had a place to put their children, they could come back, and then the whole city began to flourish. So that's what gave me the initial idea. So building Bitcoin is really about giving people the tools to, it's almost like civilization building. It's like playing SimCity, the way I see it, but we can use real money, Bitcoin, to help build real structures in the communities that need it most. Right now, as it stands, I think 95% of all donations actually go to helping people on the ground. Our admin costs are very, very low. Bitcoin helps us do that. So we've had 6 schools so far in Rwanda, Nigeria, and Kenya, and we plan to be increasing our pace of school building dramatically over the next year and a half. So we hope to reach our goal within 3 years. And that's what Built with Bitcoin is. It's building sustainable structures for people that need it most, and focus on education.
Thank you. So I like the fact that it has this impact. So my next question really is that how does blockchain technology help with financial inclusion? Looking at what the impact might be in relation to that. I don't know who wants to take that. I can see Ruth is not looking at me, so I guess he doesn't want to take it. Anybody want to take that question?
I'm happy to have mine first.
Yeah,
First, Andre, if you'd like to.
Yeah, so with this financial inclusion question, yeah, I think it can help a lot, especially if we're able to connect most of the blockchain protocol with maybe USSD payments. But I still believe education is still low. So if you're even talking about bank or financial inclusion, most of these people are not really literate and have to go through a lot of process of education. Even the educated people and literate people are still having a hard time understanding what the blockchain is. So most times, if this question should, or if it should actually work, it's going to be that we're going to hide the technology behind the product for most of these aspects. Generally, this is not my field. Maybe you ask the inner guy.
Sure, I think
When it comes to financial inclusion, obviously the base considerations are cost and access. So is it easy to access, and is it cheaper than what's currently out there? Also, you have to address the fact that some people do not want to be banked. They would prefer to consider to deal in cash. And yet, I think that as costs and access are solved, you're going to see more people transacting using digital currencies, whether they're blockchain based or not. Now, with blockchain based digital, there certainly are more use cases that can be achieved, or certainly in the investment community, and now you can actually get those. Now, is that financial inclusion from a sense of accessing some of the poorest amongst our societies? Perhaps not, but it is a financial inclusion in the sense that you're augmenting the tool set that generally people have to participate in sort of more advanced financial systems, then absolutely. I think in the case of eNaira, absolutely having more paths to transact and easier accessibility, so USSD, which is a feature that's coming, and really making it easy to access and for sure undercutting the costs that are currently out there is going to be on the crypto side. So with Bitcoin and whatnot, the use cases that Ray is talking about are particularly inspiring because these take the cost and access piece one step further and also offer, some investment opportunities that have obviously panned out very well in the Bitcoin space in particular thus far. If you look at the chart, most people are doing quite well who got into Bitcoin now. Is that an indication of what will happen in the future? We're not sure, of course, but it certainly offers an additional sort of level of attraction. And because you just need an internet capable device to access it, it certainly is attractive. Again, I think that once you solve cost and access and continue to optimize for those things, then we'll reach the financial inclusion goals that we need. Also, interoperability, I think it goes without saying that any digital currency network needs to have an augmented feature set or a feature set that's attractive for people to use. Otherwise, again, what is the point? I think the path goes, if you can if you can give access to those financial services, the economy. The financial system and the economy more broadly to achieve some of the larger sort of policy level goals that span years and years, right? And so this is, so I would say, it's important to look at it from a global perspective and understand the challenge that central banks are going through right now in designing, developing, deploying their digital currencies. Because a lot of the benefits are going to be realized when each of these currencies are truly digitized and tokenized and then interoperable with one another. The payments use cases are I would say a little, and yet again, that's part of our mission is saying, okay, how can we fill the gaps that are out there, but then also how can we prepare Nigeria for an interconnected digital currency world as most central banks are now digitizing their currency and then looking to interoperate. I hope that answers your question. Any other particular element I can zone in on?
I actually think that's really interesting. It was something, it reminds me of something someone mentioned in the context of driverless cars. So they were saying, driverless cars are great, kind of the technology is a little bit cool, you sit at the back, etc. But where you really get the game changer
is driving all of this. Instead of me relying on Western Union to send money back home to Egypt, I now send the money on the wallet.
It's a beautiful Thursday morning, and I'd like to welcome you to the first episode of many series of our banking and blockchain program. My name is Olubumi, and I'll be your host. This series is proudly brought to you by CNETv, and we'll be having it every Thursday, 1 p.m. Nigerian time. Banking has experienced significant growth and development over the last few decades. We'll be looking at a lot of topics, and we'll be bringing in experts from all around the world to discuss how blockchain can be applied to banking, use cases that can be used for blockchain in banking. Now, first, blockchain is not a cryptocurrency. Blockchain and Bitcoin are two different things. Blockchain is a technology, Bitcoin or every other cryptocurrencies are currencies, and these currencies are built on blockchain technology.
Today we are going to be discussing we are going to be delving more into financial services. Why is blockchain not mainstream in Africa? Why are financial services companies and banks in Africa not using blockchain as much as we've spoken about the applications and the use cases? And here I have a very amazing person. When you hear about BTC King, that is the man, that's D. Duncan. But generally, what do you think the challenges are? Because it's expected that such a technology that carries such power and can give us such a huge solution to a lot of our problems is not mainstream yet, like it's not being used. So what are the challenges that you see to it being mainstream?
Remove the fear, right? Lean into the technology from an understanding component. Really take time to sink your teeth, sink your mind and your spirit into it to understand, okay, how can blockchain technology help my local citizens in my banking community, in my city, in my town, in my state, and in my country? These are questions that we should ask.